Donald Trump's former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, surrendered to authorities in Georgia over accusations that he, too, tried to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. And there is the mugshot of Giuliani. The former New York mayor was booked into Fulton County Jail after he was charged earlier this month. Let's meet a former legal advisor to the former President Trump, May Mailman. May, good to have you back with us. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back.
Do you know what? I still can't get over this. I can't get over Giuliani because I remember 9/11. I remember what a hero this man appeared to be. Not only was he good on camera, not only was he a very mobilizing force and a great voice in New York, he looked like your favorite uncle as well. This looked like a guy that you could talk to this man. And then he turned out to be absolutely nuts. And I wasn't expecting that in 2022, 23. But that's where we're at. We now see a mugshot of the former hero of New York City.
Yeah, well, he even ran for president and didn't end up doing well, but was popular among the voters for a while because he did so well in New York.
Yeah.
And actually, Rudy addressed that exact question when he was booking himself in, which really just means getting your fingerprints taken, getting a mugshot, and then getting out of there. And he said, I'm the same guy. A lot of people ask what happened. He said, I was fighting for justice then. I'm fighting for justice now. And I guess you can make that argument, but really, even people who are Republicans here would say that after Trump was facing losing by, hundreds of thousands of votes in various states, there were proper legal challenges to be had. But instead, Rudy Giuliani came and kamikazed all of those legal challenges and instead focused on harassing poll workers and making crazy legal arguments. He actually did more to harm Trump's legal cases than the left ever could. So missing a beat, I think, is a kind way to put it.
Yeah, I think so. You've just reminded me, who was that other woman that was temporarily a voice, a legal voice for the former president? I can't remember who that was. I'm sure you can remind us, mate.
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell, that's right. Yeah, she was another one that took walked that well-trodden path to inexplicable sort of speeches and accusations.
Yeah, it's true. And with the exception of Rudy, I say that a lot of the people who are being booked alongside Trump were new to his orbit. You don't see Trump being arrested with Jared Kushner or Ivanka or Stephen Miller or a lot of people that have been with him for a while. Because what I saw with a lot of people who are now being arrested is that they were new to power. They wanted to be close to Trump. They wanted to be trusted by him. They wanted to be liked. They wanted people on Twitter to like them. And so they ended up just doing too much, going too far, being too crazy. And it has to do, in my opinion, with being very new to this space and new to power, and power just ends up corrupting you.
Absolutely spot on. So what about Mr. Trump then? He's handing himself in. I can't keep up with how many arrests and indictments and the like there have been, but this comes pretty much under the same category of what we've seen before, tampering with election results, and he's going to turn up there at the courthouse or the police station, wherever it happens to be, and essentially say, I'm here. Where are the handcuffs?
Exactly. So this is a little bit less exciting than some of the other legal proceedings, because here there isn't a court proceeding where he pleads guilty or not guilty and they decide some preliminary matters. In this, it's truly just the process of a mugshot and fingerprints and posting bond, which he only has to pay 10% of that. So it's not even like he's writing a $200,000 check. That actual arraignment will be in September. But in general, yes, this is basically in line with everything we've already seen. There's not going to be any fireworks. There's not going to be any decisions. It is just the beginning of a very, very long process that I I will tell you, will not be done before the election.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. We were just seeing their live pictures of the security presence outside the court, the Fulton County County Jail, as well as protesters as well that are already out there, and there'll doubtlessly be some Trump support, because there's always big old divide, isn't there, May, on this? There'll be people holding banners saying that essentially Donald Trump is the Antichrist, and others saying make America great again, because this is the man for us.
Yes. So this, I think there were many protests or rallies, whatever you want to call them, at each of the different arraignments. None of them was very wild. Sometimes you had members of Congress come to elevate their own profile. But this is really all a distraction from, there is a Republican primary going on. There are differences between the candidates. There is a passionate need to defeat Joe Biden, and instead we're spending our energy rallying the troops and paying attention to this podunk jail in the middle of nowhere. It's just a very bizarre time.
It's completely bizarre. I'm watching the current president falling asleep while meeting victims' families of the fires, etc. You'll know what I'm talking about. Just these... And the gift that keeps on giving. Mr. Biden really doesn't disappoint on an almost daily basis with these curious, strange statements, from shaking hands with people who don't actually exist, and, falling upstairs and Lord knows what else. And yet, you have this squabbling going on with the Republicans. I'll get a word from you on that debate last night in just a second. In terms of Trump, overarching view then, May, what do you think all this is going to come to? Is this man going to be found guilty of something, do you think?
So I definitely think he's going to be found guilty of something. Whether he actually is guilty, I think, is a different matter. I think all of these election claims are ridiculous because Trump might be crazy. I mean, you can call him that. You can say he's overly zealous and he maybe knew that this was a long shot. But the man has never said and has never admitted, and it's not in any of the indictments, that he actually thought that he lost. And so he was just trying to poke around every legal avenue available. And there are both Republicans and Democrats right now who have written law review articles saying if Trump wins, here's how we don't seat him because he committed treason against the United States. This is the same thing. It's just, what are legal options that we have available, even if they're crazy? So I don't actually think he's guilty of anything as far as overturning an election. Obviously, he didn't overturn it. He's not president. But does that mean that I think he won't be found guilty? No. He's in two very unfavorable jurisdictions, Fulton County in Georgia, which is very heavily Democrat, and then Washington, D.C., very heavily Democrat. Those are where your jury pools are coming from. Yeah. He's going to lose something. And the question is, how's he going to appeal and all that?
He didn't turn up for that debate last night. He said he put out a typical Trump-like statement a couple of days before. What have I got to prove? Point to me a bit. Everyone knows what I stand for, etc. Firstly, what happened to Ron DeSantis? He was the darling of the right for about half an hour. That seems to have gone by the wayside. And a new kid on the block when it comes to dominating the Republican candidates, it seems.
So I actually think that Ron DeSantis, as you said, he had the highest expectations, right? Yeah. If anyone was going to take out Trump, it was going to be the guy who won Florida by the largest margin ever, right? And actually, I think he did just fine. In fact, I think he did better than I expected at last night's debate. He was not really attacked by any of the other candidates. And so I don't know whether that's because there was nothing to attack. I don't know. It's because they didn't want to give him more time to speak, but he's able to get his points out. He said what he did in Florida, and I think he did a really good job. As you say, Vivek Ramaswamy is this 38-year-old I guess you could say tech bro, very wealthy over, investments that he's made, sort of now an anti-woke advocate. I don't know. I found him annoying. He was waving his hands around. He was trying to parrot Barack Obama, trying to compare himself to Barack Obama, which is, for a Republican, not something that I find particularly charming.
That's a risky strategy right there, eh?
It is a risky strategy. He was picking fights with basically the entire field, saying that they were all bought and paid for. I mean, you've got Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, who's personally wealthy, who's he bought and paid for by. So he was, I think, flailing in order to make a lot of viral moments for himself. Maybe that is rewarded in today's media climate, but I don't think it made him look presidential in any way.
Yeah, I sense you're right on that. But a moment to acknowledge, but where it goes next is more crucial, of course. May, thank you. It's always very thorough stuff, speaking with May Mailman.